Welcome everyone. Today we'll have a video on how to beat the paywalls in the game. So what is the paywall in the game? This is when we actually start to spend money in the free-to-play games. Coming over to the shop option, you can see there are a number of ways to top up in the game, and those Genesis gems can be converted into Paywall gems. And this is one of the most profitable ways for free-to-play games to make money. Now personally, I don't mind spending a bit in the game, and if the game is polished, I'm happy to invest a little more. But the dangers of a free-to-play game with unlimited top-up is very big. I did talk about this in one of my previous videos about the gambling addictions of gacha games, if you want to have a look at that. Now before we talk about how to beat the paywall, we need to understand what are the paywalls in Genshin Impact. Firstly, there are some psychological paywalls, and after that we'll look at the progression paywalls. When we talk about the psychological paywalls, we mean that, the Pokemon effect of having every character in the game, or maybe just having one or two characters. So the idea is you want something or you want everything to be collected in the game. And having this need in a gacha game, especially F2P game, means it's likely you'll start to consider spending into the game. And we saw earlier with the top-up options, people can spend anywhere from $1 to $100 and over thousands of dollars in a free-to-play game. Now we might come across some lucky gacha shots on Reddit, maybe on YouTube, but as we expose ourselves to the social media, what you start to see is a lot of YouTube and streamers are spending a lot of money in this game, and that in return kind of make you feel okay to spend some. And you probably feel like, okay, he's spending a few hundreds, or some people spend few thousands, and what's the big deal of me spending a few hundred? Because other people do that as well. And when this gets into your mind, what's going to happen is our mind is designed to solve problems. And as we start to see the not having enough characters as a problem, and not being able to progress in the game is a problem, and also knowing that people have a solution to this problem, what we're going to do is our mind is going to jump to the quickest solution to solve this problem. The problem is not having enough, and to solve it, we can spend money, and this is the quickest way. It might not be the best way, but our mind always looks for the quickest way to solve those problems. And this is when the psychological paywall comes in. On top of that, the game also actively promotes spending. So what you can see is, notice here I can see a lot of the first top-up bonus. And with those bonus, if you purchase once, you get double the value. And it's like a discount of 50%. The game also wants you to promote spending. I'm happy with Genshin Impact compared to the other Chinese games because they are not promoting spending that heavily, and they allow you to play and progress everything without having to spend anything at all. You can see that I haven't actually topped up anything. Those are my free-to-play gems, and what I purchased a monthly card to support the developers. Now in the future, I might consider topping up some for a really rare character, but at the moment, I'm very content to sit on my gems and just chill with the game. The second type of paywall in Genshin Impact is going to be a progression paywall, and this is the case with most of the free-to-play games. Now in Genshin Impact, we're going to have Adventure Level War. So this is when during Adventure Level 12, Adventure Level 15, 19 and 23, what you're going to see is the main story actually stops, because the main story says you have to be Adventure Level 18, 20 or 29 to progress with more story. And the main story is the biggest way to get Adventure XP. You can get over thousands or maybe 2,000, 3,000 with the continuous chain quest of adventures. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel that your progress in the game is going to slow it down. And in combination of the difficulty war, which the world level or the difficulty of the monsters goes up. As you reach Adventure Level 20, 25 and 30, those are the kind of bigger wars, you're going to find monsters harder to kill. And you're not progressing as fast because monsters are harder to kill, and you're also not getting enough adventure levels. So this, on top of that, there's also item progression. After you get higher levels, finally getting to your level 25 or maybe 30 or maybe 20, you realize that dungeons and monsters start to get harder too. You're so used to the monsters and dungeons initially when they are at the lowest level. But as those get harder, the loot gets better too. So the loots are tempting, but you have a difficult time to beat them. So those in combination makes the progression war. There is also a small factor with the Risen or the stamina system in most of the free-to-play games. Genshin Impact made it nice enough so that we can still play the game without having energy all the time. You can spend energy for additional resource or maybe for additional dungeon runs, but you do not have to spend resource for every part of the game. You can still explore, open chests, and do missions as you like. In order to beat the paywall, we will address both of the psychological and also the progression paywall in the game. Firstly, we need to understand there's a perceived game value and also the actual value of spending in the game. So what do I mean by that is, I can perceive the game to worth $50, $100, or even $300 worth of my entertainment. Let's say you go to a movie, you spend $30, you have a good timing for a few hours, you come back, you're like, hey, I like it, I might do it again. So similarly, previously, game used to cost $50 to $100, and you have 2 weeks or maybe a month of fun in it. So you perceive the game to be more valuable because you're paying less for what you're getting. But with free-to-play games, there's no limitation of spending. The moment you actually overspend, and you go into impulse spending or rage spending or just the influence spending, you see other people spend, you also want to spend. Maybe you want to spend to get lucky. So what's going to happen is, if you start to go against this, if your actual spending is greater than the perceived game value, you're going to have less joy in the game. You feel like the game deserves something more, or you deserve something out of the game. You ask the game to give you more. You're like, hey, why are they updating? Why am I not getting my best jobs? I'm expecting more jobs because I paid. I expect more. And this is when you do not have a great time in the game anymore. You either spend more to excite yourself, or you might quit the game eventually. So overspending is a big issue in free-to-play games, but knowing that you want to keep yourself with the perceived game value greater than the actual spending, this keeps the spending low. For me, I had the idea, I was like, I could spend for some weapon gadget, maybe I can spend for a healer like Chichi, but then I asked myself, would I feel better if I was actually spending $100 to $100 or maybe $500? I might feel better on the moment getting something, but after that I look back, I was like, oh gosh, I spent like $500 on this game and now I really want something more out of it. This is also the case for people in countries where 100 or 200 USD can mean a month worth of salary, and spending that much in a game can mean that they have to deprive themselves of food or maybe essential things for their family. And knowing how strong the coronavirus situation is and how everyone's having a tough time, I definitely recommend you guys consider how much you value the game and how much do you actually want to spend. Don't spend over so you stop enjoying the game. Now, it is important that we understand not everybody spends in the game, and those that spend a lot tend to have a stronger voice because they bring more excitement. On top of that, you might see YouTube and stream influencers making videos or making content showing, I spent 500, I spent a few thousand. There are two reasons behind this. One is that they bring excitement. Sometimes they do have the deeper pockets to be spending. And on top of that, they also generate clickbaits or investment to their channel or maybe to their stream. So this in return, when they are spending in the game, keep in mind, they're actually spending to invest in their channel. So not only they're spending to play the game, they're also spending as an advertisement. As a general fact, in YouTube, if you try to advertise your videos, it costs a lot more compared to how much you spend in the game. So in order to advertise some of the videos, it's actually cheaper for people to spend 500 to make a video about it, then go to YouTube saying, please advertise my video for 500 and get me some views. So you actually got more views because they spent in the game compared to advertisement. Also, on the topic of investment, keep in mind those that spend more money in the game as they make content, they do get money return as well. So if you guys didn't know, YouTube videos also makes money, and usually it's maybe not as high as $3 or $5, maybe they make about $1 per 1,000 views. So when they get 100,000 views, they make their money back, or a part of the money back. And also the growth is massive for the channel. So now that we kind of understand you want a higher game value compared to your actual spending, and you know that you don't have to spend highly compared to the videos that actually generate money for the content creators. So spending doesn't equal to happiness. This is very important. We need to understand the current social media is promoting that spending equals to happiness. You go to shops, you buy things, you feel good. You go to restaurants, you eat things, you feel good. And in gacha games, they're making this more extreme version. It's as if you get something good, you feel happy. And then this kind of links to spending equals to happiness. And very soon, if you don't look after yourself or if you get carried away, this might develop into a gambling gacha problem, and that might link to other gambling problems in the future. I'm using the word gambling, which is quite harsh, but I really want to emphasize that this game is actually open to a lot of young people who are not ready to gamble, and young people who doesn't see the dangers of gambling. In a lot of countries, you have to be over 18 or 21 to even go to the casino. With gacha games, kids can be as young as 5 or 6, get access to the iPad, play the game, and before they know it, they're introduced to gambling mechanics with gacha. And if they start to associate spending equals to happiness, very soon they find themselves in overspending a lot of things in life. I know I'm going a little deep on this part, but it's so important for us to understand the psychological paywall and how to overcome it. by understanding that in the free-to-play games, sometimes the obstacles they create can be a challenge to us instead of a problem. If we see it as a challenge, we're more eager to combat the challenge. It also gives us a sensation of overcoming the challenge. And I refer back to my account that I haven't spent that much. I try to combat the challenge of the pay to win or the paywalls by first start rerolling my accounts. I was invested to reroll for a week if I get anything. I don't recommend everyone try rerolling. I also recommend just having fun in the game. But for me, I thought it would be more enjoyable if I can get 1 or 2 of the 5-star characters to provide some content with the 5 stars. What kept me going into rerolling or just having fun with free-to-play games is that I see this as a challenge. I know there's a lot of people out there who doesn't have the wealth or the resource to spend that much in the game, and I want to make guides, videos for everyone who's more free-to-play. And to be able to do that, I need to make sure I don't overspend, and otherwise my videos wouldn't be as helpful because I'm coming from a different angle of the game. Now let's look into how we can overcome the progression paywall in Genshin Impact. Firstly, there are a lot of adventure ranking guides out there, and which most of the guides talk about doing main quest, side quest, do your daily commissions, and do the chest and puzzle loots. And you want to do it efficiently. What I mean by that is, while you're doing your main quest, pick up some chest. While you're doing your commissions, pick up some chest. And maybe find the best route to pick up some occulies and do the main quest and the chest at the same time. But there isn't a need to fully focus on those guides. I did make one as well if you guys want to have a look. But the biggest thing is just come back daily and do some daily commissions. They give a lot of experience. They give over 1,200 experience daily for about 10 or 20 minutes of just gameplay. Next up, we want to prepare for the difficulty of the game as we go into adventure level 20, 25, 30 and 35 and beyond. So what we should do is we should prepare to rank up our characters, upgrading the gears and having foresight of what are the resources required. What you can do is, I'll show you guys over here in the game, that you can go into a character and actually start to see what are the next tier of items that will be required for me to upgrade my character. And I can see that upon reaching adventure level 35, I should have those items ready, so I can instantly unlock my venti upon reaching that. Now this particular item, the purple item over here, the Trunkers, this can be crafted with a lower tier of items, and I'll show you guys where we can craft those. Coming over to Mondstadt City, and you can go to the crafting bench, which is for alchemy. What you can realize is there's a lot of material you can actually craft, and upon reaching adventure level 35, what you're going to see is they will actually show me things that I can actually craft. Now what I want is a Tranquils. To have the Tranquils, I cannot loot this item right now because my adventure level is too low to fight the higher level monsters, but I can prepare a bunch of the blue ones for the purple one. Every 3 blue Tranquils I prepare can come into the purple Tranquils. So all I have to do is farm the wind hydrosis a few times and make sure I have enough for my characters to be upgrading. Similarly, I'll be looking for flowers, I'll be looking for slimes, and to make sure I have those ready as I get to adventure level 35. This can be the case for adventure level 20, 25 and 30 as well. You can also look into your weapons. As you click on your weapon, what you're going to see is it will show you what are the material needed for the next upgrade. And those material might not come, keep that in mind, they might not come before you get to the adventure level because monsters might not drop them. You can also craft those materials the same way I showed to craft the character items in the crafting bench. Now it is nice to prepare for the game, but it is not a must-have. For me personally, I like to enjoy the game knowing that I have preparation and knowing I get a small power spike when I get to my adventure level. But there's no need for you to actually force this part if you don't enjoy it. And when you get there, just play around the game and farm those monsters this way as well. You can go for the monster hunter as well. But keep in mind, the difficulty does go up a little bit. I was doing the mobster camps for about 10 or 20 seconds initially. Now it takes about 30 seconds or maybe 40 seconds. As we get higher adventure levels in the game, the world bosses, the elite bosses, or even the dragon and the wolf boss for the weekly boss will get harder. This is when we should look at preparing food, and having enough food for buffs of armor, defense, or even stamina or restoration can be very helpful. We can also look for potions to increase our damage or reduce the damage we take. What I'll do in another video is I'll show you guys how to collect a number of foods and not go for the most expensive food that require a lot of material. Go for the cost efficient food that doesn't take that much time and also give decent stats. And finally, for any of the free-to-play games, there is the energy management. We need to make sure we have our current needs. I need to spend energy to get adventure level. also the items I need to upgrade my weapons or maybe my character from those dungeons. And also what I do is I try to save a few of the factory resins for upcoming use in the game. And this can mean that I'm actually planning for the later game. As I unlock myself to eventually level 35 or even 40, there's higher chance of me getting a legendary item or something better. So I'm delaying my process for now, but in the future I'm fast pacing my process. To summarize this video, I didn't want to lecture you guys on how to play the game or how to enjoy the game. But as someone who has played free-to-play games over the past 10 years and actually paid heavy price of overspending and learning my lesson, I really want to share the dangers of overspending and how we can manage to beat the paywall. There are practical ways, there's also psychological ways. One cannot go with one approach only, because before you know it, if you don't overcome the progression paywall, the psychological paywall will come in, and vice versa. I think just knowing those ideas will help a lot, not only in Genshin Impact, but also in some of the popular upcoming MMO games, which can also be free to play. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe and also click the little bell for more videos like this to come. As always, I wish you guys best of luck in Genshin and also have a great time exploring this beautiful world. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.